Welcome, chosen ones. Let me start with this. A flame doesn't beg the moth to come closer. It burns regardless, and the foolish are drawn into their own destruction. That's who you are. Your silence? It's the wildfire they can't extinguish. Your detachment? It's the storm they can't weather. And your power? It's the sword they can't hold without bleeding. They said you wouldn't make it. They thought you'd crumble when they turned their backs. They whispered that you needed them, that you couldn't survive without their approval. But guess what? You not only survived, you thrived. And now, your success, your peace, your strength, it's their nightmare. Every step you take in power is a step on the necks of those who doubted you. Oh, they hate it. They can't stand the fact that the very things they did to break you only made you sharper. Every lie, every betrayal, every time they underestimated you, that was fuel. And now they're choking on the smoke of your rise. Let me tell you, chosen ones, your silence screams louder than their loudest accusations. They see you shining, and it burns them alive. Before we go deeper, smash that like button and subscribe. This is the sanctuary where the chosen ones sharpen their weapons and prepare for battle. Because make no mistake, this journey isn't for the weak. Let's keep going. They thought you needed their approval. They thought their rejection would destroy you. But what they didn't understand is this. You were never playing their game. You've been on another level all along. They are slaves to attention, desperate for validation, chained to a system that tells them their worth comes from others. But you don't bow to their rules. You're free, and freedom terrifies them. You see, chosen ones, your detachment is their kryptonite. It's the wound that never heals, the thorn in their side that they can't pull out. While they run around screaming for attention, you stand in silence, and that silence echoes in their heads. It keeps them awake at night, wondering why they can't touch you, why they can't pull you into their chaos. And the truth, it's simple. You've transcended them. They said you were cold. They said you didn't care. But what they fail to realize is that you care about what matters. You don't waste your energy on fools who don't deserve it. And that makes you untouchable. Let them say what they will. Let them stew in their desperation. Their words are like pebbles thrown at a mountain. You stand unmoved. Remember this, your enemies thrive on weakness, and they hate you because you've shown none. To them, you're a constant reminder of their own inadequacy. They're the ones who said you were nothing. They thought you'd be crawling back, begging for their acceptance. Instead, you disappeared, you detached, and now they're scrambling, wondering how to get your attention, how to bring you down. But here's the beauty, they can't. Your silence is a weapon, your peace is a shield. And your indifference? It's the slow poison that eats them alive. You don't need to fight them. They're destroying themselves trying to figure out why they're not in your world anymore. They can't handle the fact that you've moved on, that you've outgrown them. They're desperate to bring you back down because your existence makes them feel small. But hear me now, chosen ones. Keep walking in power. Let your silence crush them. Let your detachment show them that you don't play in the dirt when you're destined to own the sky. You don't just win. You make them question their entire existence. That's the true power of the chosen. And to you, the chosen one, thank you for being here, standing tall in your power. Whether it's your first time here or you've been walking this journey with us, your energy fuels this unstoppable mission. If you're ready to fully embrace your detachment, unleash your strength and watch them crumble under the weight of your silence. Smash that like button, hit subscribe, and drop the number 77 in the comments to claim your role as the unstoppable force they'll never overcome. And now, Let's dive in, step by step. Stay with me, because if you're truly chosen, you'll feel that pull to stick around till the very end. Let's get started. Number 1. Your silence is their chaos. Your detachment is their defeat. When a lion ignores the barking of dogs, it's not weakness, it's supremacy. That's you, chosen ones. Your silence? It's not just quiet, it's deafening. It's the cold steel that cuts through their illusions. They expected a fight, a reaction, something to feed their egos. But instead, you gave them nothing. And that nothing? It's their everything. It's the empty space that amplifies their fears, their doubts, their insecurities. It's the mirror they never wanted to face. They thrive on your attention, your validation, your engagement. When you don't respond, when you detach and stand in your power, you starve them. You strip away the lies they've built around themselves, and what's left? The truth they've been running from. That's the power of being chosen. You don't need their approval, and that terrifies them. You're the stillness in a world that never stops moving, the calm that reveals the chaos in others. You've probably wondered, why do they care so much about my silence? Why can't they just let it go? The answer is simple. Your detachment exposes them. It's not about what you say or do, it's about what you don't say or do. Your refusal to play their games forces them to face their own fragility. They've built their self-worth on shaky foundations, opinions, validation, the noise of the world. And when you take that away, they're left with nothing but the sound of their own doubts. That silence. It's a roar that drowns them. Imagine this. They're standing in front of a mirror, desperate to see a reflection, but all they see is emptiness. That's what your detachment does. It strips away the distractions, the noise, and leaves them with nothing but their insecurities staring back at them. They hate it, but they can't look away. That's why they keep chasing, keep provoking, hoping you'll give them something, anything, to fill the void. But you don't. And that's your power. Your silence isn't just silence, it's a battlefield. It's the place where their illusions come to die. They're used to people reacting, to people playing by their rules. But you've torn up the rulebook and walked away. It's like they're throwing punches in the dark, swinging wildly, trying to hit something, anything. But all they find is air. They hate it. They hate you for it. Not because of who you are, but because of what you represent. Freedom. Freedom from their games, their control, their chaos. They don't hate your detachment because it's cold or distant. They hate it because it's powerful. It's the quiet rebellion that says, I don't need you, I don't need this. And in their world, where worth is measured by likes, comments, and attention, that's the ultimate insult. Your silence screams, I'm enough, and they can't stand it. Here's the thing, chosen ones, you've mastered what they fear most. Independence. You've broken free from the need for validation, the need to explain, the need to react. And that freedom, it's the most terrifying thing they've ever seen. They don't understand it, and what they don't understand, they fear. They think, how can someone not care? How can someone just walk away? But it's not that you don't care, it's that you care too much about your peace, your power, your path to waste it on their chaos. They're shouting into the void, hoping for an echo, but all they hear is the unsettling sound of their own desperation. They replay every interaction, every word, every glance, trying to figure out why you won't respond. They overthink, they obsess, they crumble, and all the while you stand there unbothered, unmoved, unstoppable. That's what it means to be chosen. You're not here to fight their battles or validate their existence. You're here to rise above it all, So, let them chase, let them shout, let them exhaust themselves trying to figure you out. Their desperation isn't your concern, it's their punishment. Your detachment, it's their defeat. It's the silence that screams louder than their noise ever could. Chosen ones, never forget this. Your power isn't in what you say or do, it's in what you don't say or do. Your silence is the storm they can't escape, the shadow they can't outrun. And while they're busy unraveling, you're busy rising. Keep standing tall. Keep walking your path. Let your detachment speak louder than words ever could, because in their chaos, your calm is their greatest torment and your greatest triumph. Number 2, your indifference kills their ego piece by piece. Nothing burns brighter than the fire of a bruised ego, and your indifference is the match. Chosen ones, your power lies not in what you say or do, but in what you refuse to acknowledge. Your indifference isn't just a reaction, it's a silent declaration of power, a slow and steady dismantling of their ego. They thrive on attention, on validation, on knowing they matter in your world. But when you meet their desperate attempts with cold, unbothered detachment, it's like a knife to their pride. Every move they make to provoke you dies in the shadow of your calm. They thought they had control. They thought they could push your buttons, draw you into their chaos, make you dance to their tune. But your indifference, it's the deafening silence that drowns out their noise. It's not anger or hate that crushes them. It's the realization that their presence doesn't even register in your world. That's what cuts the deepest. It's like they're screaming into a void, hoping for even a flicker of acknowledgement, only to find emptiness staring back. And that emptiness, it terrifies them. People build their entire self-worth on the validation they extract from others. Without it, they're unsteady, insecure, unsure of their own value. Your indifference is like ripping the rug out from under them. It forces them to confront a truth they've been avoiding their entire lives. Maybe they're not as important as they think they are. Maybe their loudness, their drama, their endless need for attention is nothing but a mask to hide their fear of insignificance. You don't play their game, and that drives them insane. They're used to people reacting, to being noticed, even if it's through conflict or drama. They thrive on pulling others into their chaos because it makes them feel alive, makes them feel seen. But your indifference? It's a rejection of their entire playbook. It's the one thing they never prepared for. And when you stay calm, unbothered, and focused on your own path, you're not just ignoring them, you're cutting off their lifeline. It burns more than words ever could. They can handle anger, they can handle arguments, they feed off drama because it gives them energy. But your indifference, it's like a cold wave crashing over them. It's the realization that their efforts mean nothing, that their noise is just an echo bouncing back unheard. It's the mirror that forces them to see themselves as they truly are, fragile, desperate, and completely dependent on others for their sense of self-worth. Here's the truth, chosen ones. Your indifference isn't about coldness or cruelty. It's about power. It's about prioritizing your peace, your purpose, your growth over their neediness. You don't owe anyone your energy, and that's the lesson they can't seem to grasp. They see your calm as an insult, your silence as a personal attack. But what they don't understand is that your indifference isn't about them. It's about you. It's about protecting what you've built, about staying focused on your journey and refusing to let their chaos pull you off course. And that's why they push harder. They'll try to provoke you, to get under your skin, to make you react. They'll throw everything they have at you, hoping to crack the armor of your detachment. But the harder they try, the more your silence reflects their own desperation. It's like holding up a mirror to their soul, and they can't stand the reflection staring back at them. Every attempt to get your attention only reveals how much they need it, how much they rely on you to feel whole. They'll tell themselves it's about you, that you're the one who's cold or unkind. But deep down, they know the truth. Your indifference exposes them. It reveals the cracks in their foundation, the emptiness they've been trying to fill with noise and drama. And that's the ultimate power of being chosen. You don't have to fight them. You don't have to argue, explain, or engage. Your silence does the work for you. It speaks louder than words ever could, delivering a blow to their ego they'll never forget. So, chosen ones, keep standing in your power. Let your indifference be the sword that cuts through their illusions. You don't need their approval, their attention, or their validation. You're untouchable, unstoppable, and completely out of their reach. And that's what destroys them. Let them chase, let them scramble, let them drown in their own desperation. You've already won. Keep rising, keep thriving, and watch as their ego crumbles in the face of your silence. Number 3. They mistake your calm for weakness until you strike. A storm doesn't shout before it destroys. It gathers quietly, and then it's too late to run. Chosen ones, your calmness isn't weakness, it's strategy. It's the kind of power that terrifies those who misunderstand it. They see your quiet demeanor and think it's a sign of fear, a lack of courage, or a fragile backbone. But what they fail to grasp is this: your calm is deliberate. It's the stillness before the hurricane, the patience of a predator waiting for the perfect moment to strike. They test you, poke at you, and try to provoke a reaction. To them, your refusal to engage looks like submission. They're so used to people rushing to defend themselves, to prove a point, or to match their chaotic energy, that your restraint confuses them. They think, why isn't this working? Why aren't they reacting? But what they don't realize is that your calm is the ultimate form of control. You're not swayed by their antics because you don't need to be. You're playing a bigger game, one they can't even see. Your calm is a mask, but not one born of fear or insecurity. Beneath it simmers a power so vast, they can't begin to comprehend it. They think they're winning because you don't lash out, because you don't play into their hands. But what they don't know is that every move they make only tightens the noose they've unwittingly put around their own neck. You're not avoiding the fight. You're watching, calculating, and waiting for the exact moment to move. And when that moment comes, it's already too late for them. Imagine this. They're playing checkers while you're playing chess. Every move they make feels important to them, dramatic, full of noise and urgency. But you're already 10 steps ahead, calmly watching as they walk straight into a trap of their own making. They don't even realize they're exposing their weaknesses to you, revealing their hand, showing you exactly where to strike when the time comes. And when you do strike, it's not with fury, it's with precision. One blow is all it takes, and they crumble. Your calm throws them off balance because it forces them to face their own instability. They can't understand why you're not reacting the way they expect. They're used to people engaging in their drama, feeding into their chaos, matching their energy. But with you, there's nothing for them to grab onto. Your steadiness reflects their lack of control, and it makes them question themselves. It's like trying to fight smoke. You're untouchable, and that drives them mad. Patience is your greatest weapon, and they have no idea how dangerous that makes you. They mistake your restraint for indecision, your silence for weakness, your calm for passivity. But restraint is not hesitation. It's wisdom. You don't waste your energy on battles that don't matter. You know the value of waiting, of choosing the right moment, of letting them think they're in control until the rug is pulled out from under them. And when you finally move, it's decisive. There's no back and forth, no wasted words, no chaos, just results. By the time they realize what's happening, they're already caught in the storm. They'll look back and see that every attempt to provoke you only revealed their own vulnerabilities, their arrogance, their need for validation, their lack of self-control. It was all laid bare while you stood calm and unbothered. That's when they'll understand that your silence wasn't avoidance. It was power. It was the confidence of someone who doesn't need to shout to be heard, someone who doesn't need to fight every battle to win the war. And that's the beauty of your calm, chosen ones. It's not about avoiding conflict. It's about knowing when conflict is worth your energy. You're not afraid to strike. You're simply waiting for the moment when your strike will matter most. They think they've won because you're quiet, because you're patient. But what they don't see is the storm brewing beneath the surface, ready to unleash when the time is right. So, let them misjudge you. Let them think you're weak, indecisive, or afraid. Let them exhaust themselves trying to figure you out. You know the truth. Your calm is your strength. Your silence is your strategy, and your patience is their undoing. And when the time comes, when it's finally worth it, they'll see the depth of your power. But by then, it will be too late. They'll realize too late that you were never weak. You were simply waiting. And in that moment, they'll understand that they never stood a chance. Number 4. You see through their masks, and it shatters them. A mask may fool the crowd, but it never fools the mirror. Chosen ones, this is where your vision becomes their greatest fear. They think their carefully crafted illusions, their flashy facades, and their exaggerated confidence can hide the truth. They believe their charades will work on everyone, because it usually does. But with you, it's different. You see through it all. Their masks might fool the crowd, but to you, they're transparent. Every crack, every flaw, every thread of insecurity shines clear as day, and that terrifies them. They're used to pulling strings, manipulating perceptions, and wrapping others in a web of lies. They thrive on applause and validation, on making others believe they're something greater than they are. But you don't clap, you don't flinch, you don't buy into the act. Your gaze pierces through the theatrics, and in that moment, they realize they're exposed. Their confidence, the confidence they built on pretense, starts to crumble, and they feel small in your presence. That's the power you carry. You don't have to call them out. Your silence alone is the mirror they can't escape. It reflects back to them every insecurity, every doubt, every piece of themselves they've tried so hard to bury. Your detachment makes them squirm, because it means they can't control how you see them. And that's their worst nightmare. They're desperate to manipulate your perception, to pull you into their game, to make you see them as the larger-than-life figure they pretend to be. But no matter how much they try, you remain unmoved. Imagine this. They're building a sandcastle on the shore, carefully shaping it, decorating it, believing it's something magnificent. But with every wave of your indifference, it all washes away. No matter how hard they try to impress you, to get under your skin, or to pull you into their fantasy, you remain calm, steady, and unimpressed. And that drives them mad. They're used to people falling for their charm, admiring their showmanship. But with you, they're left scrambling, trying harder and harder, only to fail every time. Your clarity exposes how fragile their confidence really is. They pretend it's solid, unshakable, but you see how much of it is borrowed, propped up by others' approval, not their own. They know that if they stop pretending, they'll have to face the emptiness underneath. And that's a reality they can't handle. So they keep piling on layers of pretense, hoping something will stick, hoping they can eventually fool you. But all they're doing is digging a deeper hole, making their insecurities even more obvious. Your authenticity is what unsettles them the most. It's a constant reminder of what they lack. While they're caught up in their endless games, you move through life effortlessly, without needing to prove anything. You don't need the applause, the attention, or the approval. And that's what separates you from them. They see in you what they wish they could be, real, grounded, untouchable. So let them scramble. Let them keep playing their games. Every attempt to impress you only deepens their frustration. Every effort to manipulate you only highlights how powerless they really are. You don't have to say a word. Your very presence is enough to shatter their illusions. And as they continue to falter, you stand tall, unbothered, and unstoppable. Chosen ones never forget. Their masks are made of glass, and your clarity is the stone that breaks them. You don't need to fight, argue, or prove anything. Your authenticity does all the work. Keep walking in your truth. Let their desperation to fool you reveal who they really are. You've already won. Number 5. Your presence exposes their desperation, a truth they can't escape. A candle's light may flicker for attention, but the sun doesn't compete. It simply shines. That's you, chosen ones. When you walk into a room, you don't need to announce yourself. Your energy speaks louder than words, and it commands attention without trying. But here's where it gets interesting. Your calm, self-assured presence doesn't just draw eyes. It exposes the cracks in those around you. It pulls their desperation, their need for validation, out of the shadows and into the harsh light of reality. Your very existence is a mirror. While they scramble to be seen, heard, and acknowledged, you remain steady, centered, unbothered. That contrast is a dagger to their fragile egos. Your quiet strength forces them to see themselves for what they truly are, dependent on the approval of others, addicted to the noise and the clamor of superficial recognition. You didn't ask to be their mirror, but that's exactly what you are. And trust me, they hate it. They hate that your peace reminds them of their chaos. They want to act like they're confident, like they have it all together. But when you're in the room, their act starts to crumble. They can feel the difference between true self-assurance and the desperate need to be validated. Deep down, they know they're chasing something that will never bring them what you've already found within yourself. They try to fill their emptiness with likes, applause, and attention, but your presence, it quietly whispers the truth they're running from. No amount of external validation will ever bring them peace. And that truth stings. That's why they react to you with frustration, envy, or even resentment. They'll try to draw you into their games, hoping you'll validate them in a way no one else can. Why? Because they see something in you they don't have. A completeness, a wholeness, a confidence that doesn't depend on anyone else. On some level, they believe that if they can get your approval, it might fill the void they carry. But here's the twist. You don't play their game. Your refusal to engage, to feed their neediness, is what shatters them. It forces them to sit with the uncomfortable truth they'd rather ignore, that their need for validation is nothing but a symptom of their own insecurity. And when you don't give them what they're desperately seeking, it magnifies their discomfort. Your calm, your presence, your refusal to validate their chaos. It leaves them grappling with emotions they've buried for years. And that's why your presence is so powerful. It exposes them. It reveals the desperation they work so hard to hide. It's not that you're trying to call them out. It just happens. Your existence alone is enough to highlight what they'd prefer to keep in the dark. And they'll resent you for it because they can't escape it. But you'll keep shining, keep walking in your power, unbothered by their chaos. That's what it means to be chosen. You don't need their approval. They need yours. And that truth will haunt them forever. Number 6. Your attention is their obsession, and they'll never win it. The rarest gems are never thrown into crowds. They are sought after, fought for, and treasured. Chosen ones, your attention is that rare gem. It's not something you give freely, and that fact alone makes it the most coveted thing in their world. They crave it, they scheme for it, and they burn with frustration when they can't have it. Your focus is a prize they'll never truly earn, and that reality eats away at them. You see, most people scatter their attention like leaves in the wind, letting it drift toward anything that demands it. But you treat your attention like it's a sacred currency, not to be wasted on anything trivial. You understand its value, and because of that, people are desperate to hold even a fraction of it. They think that if they could just grab your focus for a moment, they'd feel validated, important, seen. They think your acknowledgement would transform their existence, as if your gaze could turn their mediocrity into gold. But what they don't realize is that your indifference isn't personal. It's purposeful. You've learned that spreading your attention too thin weakens its power. You've mastered the art of holding it close, of reserving it for what truly matters. And this restraint, it's what drives them wild. They don't understand why you don't react, why their noise doesn't pull you in, why you remain unmoved by their efforts to impress or provoke you. Your calm, selective focus is like a locked door they can't break through, and the harder they try, the more their desperation is exposed. To them, your attention isn't just validation, it's status. They want to be able to say, "I matter because they noticed me." Your focus has become the ultimate prize in their eyes because they know you don't hand it out lightly. They see you giving it only to things of value, to people, goals, and ideas that actually matter. And that selective energy makes your attention feel like the approval they've been chasing their whole lives. But here's the twist. Your attention isn't something to be won. It's not a trophy, and it's not a handout. It's a choice, a deliberate, intentional choice, and that's what they'll never understand. While they clamor for your gaze, throwing their efforts into meaningless gestures and loud displays, you remain still, unbothered, detached. Their desperation only grows as they realize they're shouting into the void, while your focus remains untouched. You're not playing their game. You've outgrown the need to be pulled into their chaos. Their efforts to earn your acknowledgement are nothing more than shadows chasing the sun. And that's where your power lies, chosen ones. Your ability to keep your focus guarded, to protect your energy, is what sets you apart. While they're consumed by the desire to be noticed, you're at peace, directing your attention to things that truly align with your purpose. You understand that your attention is not a gift to be thrown at anyone who asks. It's a treasure meant only for what deserves it. Let them chase. Let them burn with frustration as they realize they'll never have the control over you they so desperately crave. Your attention isn't their prize, it's your power. And by keeping it to yourself, you remain untouchable, unstoppable, and entirely out of their reach. Number 7. Your standards are so high, they don't even know where to look. You don't lower mountains for those who can't climb. You leave them to stare in awe. Chosen ones, your standards are not just high, they are untouchable. You've built a fortress around your life, brick by brick, with values, principles, and a vision that soars above the noise of superficiality. They can't even comprehend it, let alone reach it. While they scramble for crumbs of validation, likes, followers, and fleeting applause, you're working on something far greater, something they'll never understand. A legacy. They're playing a small game, chasing after cheap thrills and momentary approval. They define success by how many people are watching them, but you? You're building for the long haul. Your success doesn't live on a scoreboard for others to judge. It's deeper, unshakable, and rooted in purpose. This is why they can't keep up. They see you walking a path that doesn't rely on their applause, and it confuses them. They're desperate to figure out how you're thriving without their approval, but the truth? They'll never get it. They're stuck at the base of a mountain they're too afraid to climb. They think your choices are strange. You don't follow trends, you don't chase after shiny distractions, and you don't bend to the pressures of the crowd. While they're busy collecting shallow victories, you're sharpening your skills, nurturing your spirit, and creating relationships that actually matter. To them, this level of discipline and focus is alien. It terrifies them because it forces them to confront their own lack of depth. They study you. They analyze every move, hoping to find a formula, a shortcut to the clarity you possess. But what they don't realize is that your drive doesn't come from external rewards. It comes from within. You're not chasing a spotlight. You're chasing fulfillment, mastery, and peace. And that's a path they can't follow because it requires courage, patience, and sacrifice, the very things they avoid. To them, your journey looks reckless. Why wouldn't you take the easy wins? Why wouldn't you bend just a little to fit their expectations? They can't fathom that you're playing a different game entirely, one where the rules are written by you and for you. They're running in circles while you're taking steady, deliberate steps forward. And the more progress you make, the more desperate they become to understand your secret. But here's the truth, chosen ones. Your standards are invisible to them because they can't see past their own shallow desires. They're too busy climbing ladders that lead nowhere, collecting fake accolades that won't matter tomorrow. Meanwhile, your quiet, relentless pursuit of meaning serves as a mirror, reflecting everything they lack. And they hate it. Your clarity is their chaos. Your discipline is their despair. They want what you have, but they're unwilling to pay the price. They're too attached to the spotlight, too afraid to take the leap into the unknown. And that's what sets you apart. You're not afraid to let go of appearances to pursue what truly matters. Your focus, your commitment, your refusal to settle, it drives them mad. They want to drag you into their shallow game, but your standards are too high for that. They can't reach you, and it burns them. Your standards are not just a set of rules. They are a reminder to them of everything they haven't yet discovered about themselves. Your strength forces them to confront their weaknesses. Your purpose shines a light on their emptiness. And while they're busy trying to make sense of your success, you're moving forward, untouched and unstoppable. So, chosen ones, keep your standards high. Let them stare, let them scramble, let them try to decode your life. They'll never reach the heights you've already conquered. Your standards aren't just a fortress. They're a beacon, a reminder that true success is built from within. And as they continue to drown in their shallow pursuits, you'll keep rising, untouchable and unmatched. Keep climbing, keep thriving. Let them watch, knowing they'll never catch up. Number 8. They feed on chaos, but your silence leaves them starving. A hurricane may roar, but it's the unshaken mountain that endures. Chosen ones, their lives are a whirlwind of noise and chaos, an endless performance where drama is the fuel that keeps them going. They thrive on conflict, feeding off gossip, arguments and spectacle as though it were their lifeblood. Their existence is a circus, where every interaction is designed to create a scene, a story, or a new reason to feel important. Without drama, their world feels hollow, like an empty theater with no audience to cheer them on. But here's the truth. Their addiction to chaos is nothing more than a mask for emptiness. You, however, are the exact opposite. While they spin in circles chasing conflict, you stand firm in silence. Your world is calm, intentional, and rooted in peace. You've found strength in the stillness they avoid, clarity in the silence they fear. They see your quiet as a threat, a mirror that forces them to confront the chaos they've built their lives around. Your serenity unsettles them because it exposes the truth. They're not in control of their own lives. They're slaves to the noise, prisoners of the very drama they crave. Your silence is more than just the absence of noise. It's power. It's a weapon they never saw coming. While they shout and scramble for attention, you're focused, grounded, and unshaken. You've learned to thrive in the quiet, to find fulfillment in moments of introspection and self-awareness. They can't understand it, and that lack of understanding turns into frustration. They're so desperate for you to join their chaos, to give them something, anything, that confirms you're still playing their game. But every time they try, your calmness only deepens their confusion. To them, your refusal to engage is a rejection of their way of life, an unspoken reminder that their drama is meaningless. They want you to be like them, to react, to add your voice to the noise. But you don't. You've chosen something greater. You've chosen peace over conflict, growth over spectacle, purpose over distraction. And that choice, it terrifies them. It's not just that you're different, it's that your way of living exposes the cracks in theirs. Their attempts to provoke you, to pull you into their chaos, are rooted in desperation. They see the strength in your silence, the power in your restraint, and they want it. But they don't know how to achieve it themselves. They can't fathom how you find fulfillment without the constant buzz of drama and validation. It's alien to them, and because they don't understand it, they try to destroy it. But chosen ones, let them try. Let them rage, shout, and flail. Your silence is their undoing. Every moment you refuse to engage is a moment they're forced to face the emptiness of their own noise. While they chase the fleeting highs of chaos, you've built something unshakable: peace, purpose, and true power. And in the end, that's what sets you apart. Their drama may roar, but your calm will always endure. Number 9. You are their mirror, and they hate the reflection. Some fear the truth, not because it's cruel, but because it reveals who they really are. Chosen ones, you don't even have to try. Simply by existing, you expose their deepest insecurities, holding up a mirror to everything they fear about themselves. Your calm, your composure, your relentless focus on your own path, it all reminds them of what they lack. And that truth, it burns them from the inside out. You move through life with purpose, unshaken by distractions, while they stumble, clawing for validation and clinging to their chaos. They see your quiet confidence, your ability to thrive without the constant need for approval, and it unnerves them. You are a reminder of the discipline they can't summon, the peace they'll never find in their own restless minds. You don't even need to say a word. Your presence alone forces them to confront the cracks in their foundation. Every moment they spend near you is a reminder of their own shortcomings. When they see you rise above challenges with grace, it's not admiration they feel, it's resentment. They hate the way your strength makes their fragility impossible to ignore. Instead of looking inward and fixing what's broken, they lash out, desperate to bring you down to their level. Because if they can't rise to meet you, their only option is to drag you into the pit they've made their home. They can't stand your detachment from their noise, your refusal to engage with their endless games and drama. Your peace is an insult to their chaos, your independence a direct challenge to their dependence on others. You make them feel exposed, like they've been stripped of their masks, forced to confront the very insecurities they've spent their entire lives avoiding. And rather than facing themselves, they turn their frustration on you. They'll poke, prod, and push, hoping to crack your calm exterior, desperate for a reaction that validates their twisted belief that no one is truly untouchable. They want to see you rattle, falter, or lose control because it would make them feel powerful again. But you don't. You remain unbothered, and that drives them deeper into their own spiral of self-doubt. Every failed attempt to shake you only reinforces their weakness and your unshakable strength. You are a living reminder of the life they could have if they had the courage to change. But instead of using that as inspiration, they see it as a threat. They're stuck in a paradox, drawn to your light, but determined to extinguish it. They want what you have, but they don't want to put in the work it takes to get there. So they stew in their resentment, torn between envy and hatred, unable to decide if they want to be you or destroy you. Here's the truth they can't admit. Your presence forces them to reflect on everything they've ignored about themselves, their fears, their weaknesses, their lack of purpose. And that reflection, it's too much for them to bear. While they lash out, trying to drag you down, all they're really doing is exposing their own fragility. You don't even have to lift a finger. They're defeated before the battle even begins. Chosen ones, let them hate the reflection. Let them despise the mirror you hold up to their insecurities. That's not your burden to carry. Their discomfort is not your problem. It's the price they pay for living in denial. You're not here to fix them, to respond to their chaos, or to make them feel better about themselves. You're here to walk your path, and in doing so, you force them to confront the truth they've been running from. Whether they rise or fall in the face of it is their choice, not yours. Number 10. They keep testing, but all they do is break themselves. The axe always strikes the tree, but the tree grows stronger while the axe dulls. Chosen ones, their petty games are nothing but blunt strikes against your unshakable resolve. They see your calm as a challenge, a mountain they think they can conquer. They throw insults, start rumors, and bait you with childish tactics, hoping you'll crumble, react, or stoop to their level. To them, your peace is an anomaly, something they can't understand, and feel compelled to destroy. But every time they test you and fail, it's not your calm that cracks. It's their own illusion of power. They're like moths circling a flame, desperately drawn in by the mystery of your indifference, only to burn themselves every time. They convince themselves that if they prod you enough, they'll find a weakness, a soft spot to exploit. But all they find is the impenetrable wall of your composure. And with each failed attempt, their frustration grows louder, their desperation more apparent. They think drama is the language of strength. That conflict is how people prove themselves. But you've transcended their world of chaos. You've discovered the truth. Real power isn't in the fight. It's in knowing when to ignore the noise. Their insults are like dust in the wind. Their schemes are nothing more than shadows cast by their own insecurity. They throw everything they have at you, and you respond with nothing but unyielding serenity. That's what destroys them. Your refusal to engage isn't weakness, it's dominance. It's a silent declaration that you're not playing their game, because their game isn't worth your time. Every rumor they spread, every jab they throw, every scheme they devise, it all falls flat, because your peace doesn't depend on their acknowledgement. They don't understand that your strength comes from within, not from the validation of others. And that's why they keep testing you. They're desperate to believe that you're like them, that your calm is just a facade. But every time they push and fail, they're forced to confront a truth that terrifies them. You're untouchable. Imagine this. They're throwing stones into the ocean, expecting to see cracks form, but all they see are ripples that fade before their eyes. That's your power. It's not just that you don't react. It's that their attempts only reinforce the vast difference between your peace and their chaos. With every jab, they reveal their own insecurities, their need for attention, their dependence on conflict to feel important. While they're consumed by the games they play, you stand unmoved, your calm a mirror reflecting their desperation back at them. And here's the kicker. Their failure becomes an obsession. They try harder, push further, convinced that if they just press the right button, they'll get a reaction. But all they do is expose the cracks in their own foundation. Their attempts to rattle you become proof of how deeply they rely on others to validate their existence, while you remain rooted in unshakable self-assurance. They can't fathom the depth of your strength, because they've never known what it means to stand on their own. Chosen ones. Their games are nothing more than a test of your patience, a test you pass every single time by refusing to play. Your indifference is the fortress they can't breach, no matter how many times they try. And while they spiral into frustration, you rise higher, unbothered and untouchable. Every failed attempt to break you only sharpens the contrast between their chaos and your calm, turning their obsession into a cycle of endless frustration. So, let them keep testing. Let them push and prod and poke. With every strike, they dull their own axe, while your foundation grows stronger. Their desperation is not your burden. It's their own weakness, screaming for validation in the face of your silence. And in the end, their games won't touch you, but they'll destroy themselves trying to. Stand tall, chosen ones, because their failures only highlight your power. You've already won. Number 11. They need the spotlight, but you own the shadows. The sun doesn't chase the stars, yet its power is felt even when unseen. That's the essence of who you are, chosen ones. They thrive on attention, scrambling for every like, every comment, every fleeting moment of recognition that feeds their fragile egos. Their self-worth is tied to applause, their existence dependent on being noticed. But you are their opposite. You are the calm, unshaken force that doesn't need the world to see you in order to shine. And that truth burns them to their core. Their lives are a desperate performance, every move calculated to stay relevant. They shout to be heard, scream to be seen, clawing for validation as though it's the air they breathe. To them, fading into obscurity is worse than death. They live for the spotlight, for the false affirmation of others, and without it, they crumble. They're prisoners of public perception, slaves to the opinions of strangers, and you, standing strong in your quiet invisibility, are everything they can never be. You've unlocked the secret they fear the most. Real power doesn't come from being seen. It doesn't come from applause or validation. True power is being comfortable in your own skin, standing in your truth, even when no one else is looking. You've realized that self-worth isn't dictated by how many people notice you. It's built in the silence, in the solitude, in the depths of your soul where no one else can reach. That's where your strength lies, and that's what leaves them scrambling to make sense of you. They don't understand it. They can't. How can someone thrive without an audience? How can someone find joy in the shadows when they're so addicted to the limelight? Your calm, unbothered presence is a reflection of everything they lack. While they scream for relevance, you find fulfillment in the quiet moments, in your own passions, in your own company, and that makes you unstoppable. They may shine for a moment, but you are the steady flame that burns long after their spark fades. The harder they try to draw you into their chaos, the more you retreat into your sanctuary of peace. They throw bait, desperate for a reaction, hoping to see a flicker of acknowledgement from you. They need to know that you see them, that they matter in your world. But you don't take the bait. You stay grounded, watching their desperation amplify as your calm presence highlights the vast chasm between your self-sufficiency and their dependence on external validation. Their need for recognition is their weakness, and your contentment in invisibility is your greatest strength. You don't need the world to clap for you, because your power doesn't come from their noise. It comes from within. And that's what they'll never understand. Their spotlight is fleeting, but your quiet presence is eternal. You don't need to be seen to shine, chosen ones. You simply are. And in that truth, they find their greatest frustration, and your greatest power. Keep standing in the shadows. That's where the strongest forces reside. Number 12. They can't understand why you reject their empty world. The lion doesn't envy the sheep's flock. It roams free, unbound by their shallow comforts. Chosen ones, they can't fathom why you don't want what they desperately cling to. They've built their entire existence around fragile trophies, status, admiration, and the illusion of being important. They believe everyone must crave the same scraps of validation they've spent their lives chasing. But you see the emptiness in it all. Their glittering world doesn't shine in your eyes. It reeks of desperation. They're playing a game you've already walked away from. While they fight for seats at someone else's table, you've built your own empire. They obsess over climbing ladders, but you've already reached heights they can't even imagine. Their approval, their trends, their shallow accolades, they mean nothing to you, and that terrifies them. Your indifference shakes them to the core. You're not rejecting their world out of spite. You've simply evolved beyond it. Their validation holds no currency in your life, and that realization gnaws at them. It makes them question everything, why they've fought so hard, sacrificed so much, and poured their energy into a game that you don't even bother to play. You don't just reject their world, you expose its hollowness. Your calm, your self-assurance, your ability to thrive without their approval. It's a mirror to their insecurities. It reveals the weakness in their foundation, leaving them scrambling to understand how you've found freedom in a world they're still enslaved to. That's the power of being chosen. They chase what glitters, while you embody what's real. And that's a truth they'll never recover from. And so, chosen ones, this is your power. Thriving where others falter, rising above their games, and standing unshaken in your truth. Your calm, your detachment, and your refusal to chase their shallow world make you unstoppable. Let their desperation fuel your strength. And remember, true freedom is living on your own terms.